Well, we played you some music from your Charlie Barnet days. Our guest is Turk van Lake, and we also were able to squeeze in Uptown Rhapsody. And you're quite accurate that that line that I know from their King Porter Stomp recording of 37, I think it's phrased exactly the same way as on their 1936 theme song, Uptown Rhapsody. So that was an incredible spot by you, and it's on Powwow with Charlie Barnet.
Right, yeah. Well, he was kind of surprised that I knew it. He knew it, and Teddy Hill had quite a good band. I don't know how much traveling they did.
Well, they went to Europe.
That's right, that's right.
Pre-World War II, they went to Europe in the spring of 1937 with Dizzy.
Oh, that I didn't know.
The trumpet lineage there, they had Roy Eldridge, and they had Bill Coleman, who went, Shad Collins, and...
That's right, Dizzy followed Roy and...
well, he eventually assumed a chair that Roy had once had.
Right, yeah.
But they were a house band at the Savoy Ballroom, and overlooked, really, from that period.
Yeah, but they were blowing everybody out that came near them. I remember he had a left-handed bass player, Dick Fulbright.
Oh, Dick Fulbright was left-handed?
Left-handed, yeah. It looked so weird on a stand.
You spotted a lot of left-handed...
yeah, Lee Blair on guitar when he was with... well, Louis Armstrong was fronting Louis Russell's band at the time, and Lee Blair was in that band. Yeah, you know, it looks weird because you're so used to seeing it the other way around. Right. What's wrong with this picture?
That's amazing. And Don Redman was left-handed.
Yes.
You know, this is interesting that you would bring up these points because I was actually... We're on the air here with Turk van Lake. Turk van Lake is the rock in a lot of rhythm sections, and he's in the rock. Right now, he's the rock of my band. My band is this disheveled little room at Columbia University where we try to keep jazz on the air, and Turk has seen in visual form just how hard it is sometimes, although there aren't too many places where you can walk into another room and get a remastered dub of Uptown Rhapsody from the original Vocalion 78 and flip it on in roughly 6 minutes. So maybe I'm not as much of a disheveled bum as I am feeling like, but I've had my rough moments today, and all of my smooth ones are courtesy of Turk van Lake. The one rough moment in our Charlie Barnet discography perusal is that you, who I really am, you know, quite accepting because of your accuracy musically and your memory is amazing, that you feel that the Skyliner that you've heard now twice is the Skyliner that you recorded, even though it's always been listed as a later West Coast record date with a different, slightly different band, and that there's no doubt in your mind, and having heard it again, although it didn't really serve any purpose for you.
I'll tell you, I have the 78 home, and I have the personal written on it from almost, certainly within a week after I did the date. So I will recheck that.
But you feel strong about it.
Yeah, I do, but you know, now you've already injected a little bit of doubt because you know, when you play an arrangement, I don't know how many times, 100 times I played that arrangement. Not really that many because it came in late in the later part of my stint.
Right.
But still, no, I played it. I bet I played it over 50 times without any, you know. And so I may have dreamt that I recorded it at this point.
I don't think so. Also, I haven't been being as careful about getting solo credits from you. You know, usually they don't write down the soloists. Do you remember, did you spot any solos there from anything I've played today that you could just share with our listeners with the keenness of your ear?
Well, no, all I remember is Roy Eldridge.
Well, there's no doubt about him being on the great line.
Screaming above the band here and there. And of course, Dodo on piano, and Barnet doing the rest of it. There's no clarinet on here. There's no Buddy DeFranco. And Tommy Peterson may be that trombone player.
On Flat Tap Flips His Lid.
There's an interesting story on that. We were playing the Strand Theater with Barnet's band, and Tommy Dorsey was at the Paramount during the same period. And Tommy Dorsey was trying to steal Dodo and Buddy DeFranco out of the Barnet band.
He succeeded, didn't he?
Well, he got Buddy. Yeah, he got Buddy, but it took a little time.
All right, I'll let you tell the story.
The story is that they would, Buddy or Dodo or both would get a phone call from the manager of the Dorsey band saying, oh, whatever you're getting, we'll give you $5 or $10 more. I don't know the exact numbers. We'll give you, above what you're getting with Barnet. So all Buddy and Dodo had to go and say to Barnet is, hey, Tommy's manager just called me and offered me $60 more. And Barnet would say automatically, I'll match it, So this went on for a little bit of a while, and here was Dodo and Buddy getting raises by just living, by just being. And pretty soon, Barnet got ticked off. So he raided Tommy's band. He got Superman out of there, and he got Tommy Peterson. He took his lead trumpet player and his lead trombone player and crippled his brass section. And that's why I admire Barnet so much. I mean, he gives it to you back twice as much. And he was able to do it financially. He was independently wealthy. And he just, he played around with me just so long.
So you didn't begrudge him that as an unfair advantage. You're still incredibly impressed with Charlie Barnet. Like, being independently wealthy, some people might say, well, that was an unfair advantage.
Well, he was a playboy at heart. There's no doubt about that. But as I understand it, and I don't know this for a fact, but it makes sense, his mother made a deal with him that, Playboy wants to have a band for a toy. But his mother made a deal with him because his grandfather did have controlling stock in Grand Central Railroad. And his mother made a deal with him. You show me that the band is making a profit, or at least covering expenses, and you can have your band. Well, Barnet went her 20 times better. He had a successful band.
Yeah.
He had a hit record almost every season. There was not a time in Barnet's career, except maybe towards the end, where he didn't have one record going for him. Because when I joined the band, he had Things Ain't What They Used to Be, and that Old Black Magic. And I could tell by the audience response that these were hot records. I hadn't heard the records themselves, but when I saw the reaction, particularly we were playing the black theaters, the Howard Theater in D.C., the Regal in Baltimore, no, the Royal in Baltimore, the Regal in Chicago. Well, we never played the Regal in Chicago. And the Apollo we played about twice in 1 year, I think.
Charlie Barnet played the Apollo in its first year of existence and remained the most successful white band at the Apollo Theater for almost 20 years.
Well, we broke Basie's record up there one night. Played 9 shows on a Saturday.
It was a very long Saturday. And I bet you the film was was shown at a quicker speed than usual.
Let's see, I think they put on 2 shorts and 5 was in. Something like that. It was crazy.
All right, the line of questioning that I was going to take for our chat here with Turk van Lake here on WKCR-FM New York. It's a live broadcast of 5 hours duration. We're now well past the midpoint, and there are many important elements that should be discussed. But when you were listening to jazz and, grooving your way slowly towards this major involvement with the music, did you meet or hear anything, that, you think would be an important point for you to make or document? Like, for instance, Roy Eldridge came up here. Now, he wasn't in Louis Armstrong's 1930 band, but talking about it was a major thing because it was a major thing. He heard it, and he helped us understand it better than we could possibly do without such primary and musical reporting. Now, you were you went to the Benny Goodman Carnegie Hall concert. There are undoubtedly my mother, speaking of appendicitis, you mentioned Dodo.
Yeah.
My mother missed the concert because she had appendicitis.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's a coincidence.
And Charlie Barnet didn't go to see her in the hospital either. Okay, so anywhere from 1927, 28 to, say, the Teddy Powell period, the whole decade plus, things that you picked up on that were special that you might talk about for us?
I think I guess maybe not in chronological order, but I was a Basieite. There was no doubt about that. And I was an Ellingtonian. And I was a complete lover of the Lunsford Band.
Mm.
That band used to knock me out. And then I was also very fond of Dave Tuff and Bud Freeman.
Summa cum laude?
Well, even with the Dorsey Band.
Uh-huh. Oh, of course. Yes.
And then later with the Goodman Band.
Yes. The summer
the two of them, they were
30.
buddies, and where one went, the other went, except in the Ray Noble Band where Bill Hardy was the drummer, and we were at odds with the British Union. There was some problems with Jack Hilton and
Fletcher Henderson, yeah.
And so American musicians weren't able to go to London and perform. Just the leader could go over there. So that's when Ray Noble came over and picked up a band. He got his drummer in by making him the manager. Otherwise, you would have seen Dave Tuff there, I'm sure. But I liked that particular band. That Ray Noble band was a super band. And it had George Van Epps on guitar. Claude Thornhill was on piano. And trumpet section was Charlie Spivak and Pee Wee Irwin and Glenn Miller and Will Bradley. Incredible personnel. And I remember there were nice little chord guitar solos by Van Epps, very clean, very crisp. And it was just a good musical band.
When did you start? We're talking here with Turk van Lake, rhythm guitarist of such orchestras as Benny Goodman, Charlie Barnet, Charlie Spivak, Sam Donahue, Georgie Auld. And we're speaking of musical revelations of his earlier life and career, including now. When did you start making friends with musicians of that ilk, going up and approaching them? Was it something you did commonly?
Well,
I
did go once when Lunsford's band was appearing at the Low State Theater, and For Dancers Only had just come out. It was about 2 months. We had a little band out on Staten Island, a rehearsal type of thing, and I was designated to write the arrangement of For Dancers Only, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I boldly, after seeing a show, I went backstage and I asked for Cy Oliver. And Cy Oliver came down, and I told him what my problem was. And he said, I asked him if the score was around. I didn't know how valuable things like that were at the time. And he went looking for it. He said, no, he said, we don't have it in the theater here. And he really didn't do anything else. He didn't show me what to do or anything. But he was very nice to me. I thought that was okay. But as far as meeting the players, I think that happened as I got into the business, except for the autograph I got of Teddy Wilson after the Carnegie concert. And I used to belong to Cab Calloway's Pals of Dipsomaniacs. Cab Calloway had quite an influence on me.
Really?
Yes. There's just the general show. He had the Nicholas Brothers with him. Always a great show. And the band was good. Of course, it was his background, actually. But yeah, there was a certain hypnotic thing about Cab that got me as well as everyone else, with the hair in the eyes and dancing and whatever he did, his Heidi Haws. It was a fun time.
Absolutely.
It was a fun time.
Well, I'm having a fun time now, and Turk van Lake is responsible for that, although he's not exactly doing his Cab Calloway imitation, but he is giving us some great, great tales of jazz. And I thought the next question I'd ask would be two concerning your own performance career and its relationship to whatever you'd want to speak of. You've mentioned twice now about the difficulty of being heard on guitar in those years, playing in a larger band, playing acoustic guitar. Amplification came in during this period. What did you make of it, and how did you ever use it?
Well, okay, amplification. Well, when I heard Charlie Christian, just like everyone else, he turned us all around. Everyone was turned around. What happened is I guess I realized up to a point, I don't know up to what point, but I realized that playing the way he was playing was going to be quite a bit of woodshedding to switch gears and get into single line soloing, entirely different approach to the instrument. So I said to him, I had to figure out what I want to really do. Here I had already been struggling between playing rhythm guitar and composing arranging. And it was double duty in a band, you know. Of course, I wrote for almost every band I played in, some to more degrees than others. But now came a critical point, because what do? Do I go electric and give up my writing? Because I was convinced that I couldn't do both. I had to learn a new instrument, actually. So because of my nature, I think, I'm a little withdrawn. I don't have the ego where I have to be on stage. I'd just as soon be the man behind the man, you know. That doesn't bother me at all. As a matter of fact, I prefer it.
It's a temperament of rhythm sections of that generation.
I suppose. Especially a rhythm player, rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
So I decided, let me do the writing. I like the confinement of a writer. And that is one thing you do need, except for Gene Roland, who can write under any conditions. By the way, that was Gene Roland's arrangement. Was he given credit for that, Stomping at the Savoy, the thing you opened up with today?
Yes, he was given credit for it.
Yeah, he's an insane type of writer, just like Andy Gibson was another, the one who wrote Andy's Boogie. He was the staff arranger for Barnet. Andy Gibson did not write a score out, a musical score. He would just sit at the piano with a jug in his hip pocket and stand at the piano, not sit. He'd stand and write alto sax number 1 and write the whole arrangement out. Then he'd write alto sax number 2 and write the whole part out. No score at all. It takes a crazy mind to keep all of those things in place. And Gene Roland was the same way. Now let's see, I got to get back on track here.
Your own transition to full-time arranging.
Yeah, so I had to make that. It was a major choice. So I opted for the arranging. As far as when I came, then I went to school for a period. And when I came out of school, I couldn't get any kind of a job at all, except teaching in a local music store. So I did that for a while, and pretty soon, next thing you know, I got the guitar back in my hands. I'm teaching kids how to play the guitar. I had ordered a brand new guitar, and I'm back playing the guitar, but by now, the Elgart Band came on the scene, pianoless, and they used a rhythm guitar. But for traveling on record dates, it was okay without amplification. But on the road, in ballrooms, and college proms, and armories, and USOs, and you name it, air bases, I needed amplification. So I did play amplified, but I was playing rhythm, amplified, I think I was with that band for about 4.5 years.
Across the mid-50s?
Yes, from up to about 55 and a half, something like that. And I learned a lot of things about. That's why I'm so prejudiced today against playing. I will not play rhythm guitar or amplified, because there's a delay, and I can't stand it. And lately I wouldn't say I made a comeback, but I've been playing around a little bit in the last 4 or 5 years, a date here and there, and these bass players come on the job with amplification. And that kills the rhythm section as far as I'm concerned.
You know, Frank Foster felt very strongly about the point you were making, at least as it pertains to the guitar, and it became very difficult when Freddie Green died, his leading the Basie band, because he had to find a rhythm guitarist who at least could make you think about Freddie Green, point one, and two, who was willing to drop his amplifier probably there were no more rhythm guitarists who had never used an amplifier.
Well, Lawrence Lucy is using one.
Yeah, they're all using amplifiers, if you mean that, yeah.
Well, that's bye-bye.
And you feel that even the bass using it messes up
Of course. There's a delay in the sound. Comes out later. He comes out later than I do. I can feel it. I can feel it in my hands. I can feel it in my fingers.
Solution is miking the bass. Get a better sound anyway.
Well, see, what the problem is the bass today is no longer a timekeeper. He's not the walking man that he used to be. He's now a soloist. And he's been waiting a long time. And what they have done is the bass players have lowered the action on their basses,
right.
Which doesn't make for a good acoustic walking sound.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any buoyancy.
They traded they traded sound for speed.
Exactly. I can't fault them because if the call is for a bass player to be a soloist today, what's he going to do? Bring two basses on the gig?
You know, Mingus did that, but not for the reason he brought one for bowing and one for pizzicato.
That's a strange one. I'll have to ask Nepper about that.
Oh, he'll tell you about it. Perhaps not in as friendly a manner as I might, but you'll get the real deal from him. No, but he was right. Mingus was right. If you're going to be, I mean, the amount of pizzicato playing done by a classical bass player
is nil.
Is so little that their bass is permanently set for a great sound for bowing. And you listen to the symphony orchestras,
You know, then I am right. I am right. 'Cause that confirms it.
Oh, you're right. If you're talking about that, you're right. And if Jimmy Nepper and Charles Mingus agree with you, you're really right. Well, anyway, we're getting a little too insidish on that, and there's so many other topics to be discussed. And I'm speaking here with Turk van Lake, and Turk van Lake is... now, what about now, did you have a solo style at all in your rhythm guitar thing, chordal or otherwise?
None.
Mm-hmm.
No, as basic as I could play it. I play 3-note chords. I let the other guys play all the embellishments, and you got the ball. Just let me play a little foundation here.
Mm-hmm.
And contrary to what most rhythm guitar players, electric players, when they play rhythm, think that you have to change the position of the chord on every beat to go along with the walking bass, but that's entirely wrong. The monotony of playing the same chord is the thing that cuts eventually. So I reduced it down as much as possible.
In other words, hit the same chord twice?
4 times.
4 times.
If necessary. But I don't want to go... If they say major 7, a major chord, major 7, and then the next time it's played it's a major 6, I'm not going to make that change. I want to play my 3-note major chord, and you can play a major 6 or a major 7 or a major 9th or a major augmented 11 on top of it. It's not going to bother, but I'm giving you the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that blends better. And
gives the liberties to the piano, which is more suited to take them anyway.
Of course. I don't mind being the timekeeper at all. You can walk all over the place. You can do anything you want when I play, because I just like to play time. The sheer monotony of it is the joy. So some don't ask me why. There is a joy to it. And when the blend is near perfect, when you can hear the whole rhythm section, either as one sound or as 4 sounds.
Right.
It's musical pleasure for me.
Well, the pleasure is ours having Turk van Lake here today, rhythm guitarist who, earlier we were talking about so many things and trying to make headway into the program but the original assessment stands. The rhythm section player had a different perception of role and perhaps a different temperament, as I mentioned and as you've both mentioned, and that there was it was one person really playing. You had to work on it to get it that way, and there wasn't really any need. But you say the opportunity to be a soloist is a tantalizing one. I mean, who wouldn't? If you're a jazz player, there's always got to be that somewhere on your horizon, whether you say I don't need to go that way or not. And that most players, there is almost nobody who would just be a rhythm section player. I mean, even in drums, there were few drum solos a half century ago.
Right.
So, but even now, the drummer is going to solo, maybe even once a set. That's a given. The bass player is going to solo. That's a given. The guitarist is going to play amplified and solo, and if he's there, may not play any rhythm section role at all.
Right.
And so the rhythm section teamwork that is such a charming thing. There's another element to it which doesn't really come up very often, which is that these bands that you were speaking of, like the Lunsford Band, I'm sure that if we isolated the great chops cats of today and put them up against your Eddie Wilcox and Alan Norris and Moses Allen and Crawford, you'd probably say, well, I've got more technique with the four younger guys that I got here now. But the one thing they have that maybe no musician ever again will ever have in jazz unless we change things is that he played with the same rhythm section 6 or 7 nights a week for 15 years. And that is something that you can't buy. You got to put in the 15 years. And there's a core relationship. That's what really, and I'm talking like I'm the old timer, I'm the young timer.
But you have old thoughts.
Well, my thought is that there are very few, if any, working bands anymore. And
I think we're talking about something that will not be again. Maybe the youth bands, the stage bands that are all over the country. Even so, even they, I see now, are using a double type of rhythm section where they'll have the solid body bass player and he doubles on the acoustic. And same with the guitar. He plays a solid body guitar and he plays a rhythm guitar. They're doing double duty. But other than the Billie Holiday records, where she always used the guitar, but I suppose because her father was a guitarist. But the guitar doesn't really, it's not necessary in a small group. It's an enhancer on Billie's records. They sound very good. The rhythm section sounds nice, but I think you need it in a big band. That's where it belongs. If you're going to use it at all anymore, Ellington finally got away from it.
Right.
And once he did. You could kiss rhythm guitar goodbye because everybody's watching what's Ellington going to do next, and he did.
Well, Freddie single-handedly kept it front and center, Freddie Green, till 87, till his death.
Right.
He was performed up to the night of his death.
Yeah, I think we can close the book on it.
Well, I hear that Turk van Lake is still playing.
Well, I'm breathing, but I don't have a guitar.
Well, we're here with Turk van Lake, and another point, let's finish up the rhythm section instruments while we're here. You came on like gangbusters 3 hours ago. I wish I could say the same. And you said, well, look, Davy Tuff was my man. Cooper wasn't. Billy Exner. Drummers.
Shadow Wilson.
Shadow Wilson. This is related to the teammate rhythm section, the cats who were there to play for others. You know, Monk's favorite drummer was Shadow Wilson.
My favorite drummer, too.
Describe what a drummer should do. Or what they did. Or isolate any point that would, let's say, make it audible and accessible to the listener
now.
now.
The drummer keeps the band in. He keeps everybody in line. If he can't keep you in line, then something's wrong. And I'm of the Dave Tuff theory that you stay under the band. Now, Dave Tuff was a troubleshooter. If you watch go over his career carefully and see what he did in his lifetime, and notice that any time.
Well, we just heard two recordings, both arranged by Turk van Lake, who's our guest here on A Jazz Profile, covering his career. These are recordings from late World War II years and were done primarily for Armed Forces radio services. Some were issued on V-Disc, others were not. And this is from a period in which Turk van Lake, having left a number of bands where he'd played rhythm guitar and also written, was now a freelance arranger and had come into the Basie fold. And You're confirming that On the Upbeat, the first one, and Let's Jump, the second one, were both your arrangements.
Yes, and they're both Al Killian compositions.
All right, so we got composer and orchestration credits there, and it was nice to hear Lester Young there.
I'm honored that I have something of his.
Maybe you should start from the beginning. If we've itemized Don Redman as the dean of arranging, Freddie Green is to you one of the preeminent figures of the rhythm guitar, and this is a whole earlier lifelong love affair for the original Basie band. You first heard them before they came to New York. You caught them at the Apollo. My father was there, too, at
really?
the April 37 one, the first one at the Apollo.
Right.
And
Basie didn't get off the stool. He was so nervous and so frightened. They brought the mic over to him. He just, very shy man, very shy.
He eventually gained a great deal of confidence.
He did. You know, I saw some tapes recently, and he came out like he owned the world. What a transformation.
Yeah, well, Duke was shy, they say, as a young man. You would never...
Well, I don't know. I never saw Duke too shy. I saw him...
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a surprise. Sonny Greer says you should have seen Duke in 23, man. Okay, anyway, the story, though, is you and the Basie guys. So you heard them in person at the Apollo. You had their records. You listened to them on radio?
Yes.
And what did they do that was special?
Well, first of all, I'm a rhythm guitar player, and I could hear the rhythm guitar. that was a major attraction. That this band was sensitive enough to play lightly, and they had a drummer, Papa Joe, who would not have to fill up the holes. Just let them ride and let the guitar strum through and let the bass walk through. Everything was nice and cozy. Everybody could hear. And
how would you rank the All-American Rhythm section?
Well, against who?
Well, anybody you'd like to put up against.
Well, I've been in some very good rhythm sections, but not anything... No, they were together too long. Nothing... You couldn't do it.
Give them the award, then.
All of the awards. There are none left. No, they had it... And I don't know how much they sat down and talked about it. I frankly never did find out whether Papa Joe and Freddie and Paige got together. Or I think probably they got their instructions from Basie, because every time Basie got a new drummer, which wasn't too frequently, I noticed when Gus first came in the band, or when Sonny Payne came in, every now and then, Basie wouldn't say too much, but every now and then he'd just point to the hats, or to the socks, or to the ride cymbal. He'd point where he wanted the drummer to play, and that would be it. The other thing was the easy Kansas City riff style. You know, you get a very musical thing. You get three-part counterpoints going on. You got the trumpets, trombones, saxophones, and then you got the polyrhythm in the bottom. It's a crazy mixture, and it's quite simple. Quite simple. That was the attraction, really. It wasn't cluttered. I hate cluttered writing. It prevents it from swinging, frankly. That's one of the big problems with Stan Kenton's band was the writing was good, but it was cluttered. It was not meant to swing, I guess, I hope. Because it didn't. You know, it'd be a shame to have all that good music not mean anything. That was the attraction, the simplicity of it. And the other contrast was the Ellington band, who was so deep that you couldn't hear it almost. Lucky for us that he wrote a pop tune every year, that we could hear that at least. But I remember he used to stun the audiences up the Apollo. He'd play Diminuendo in Blue or something. Nobody knew what he was playing. Or Reminiscing in Tempo, Part 1 and 2. He'd be trying the stuff out on the Harlem audience, and you know, they'd clap because it was Duke, but I don't think they were sure what they were hearing.
Do you know the original record of Diminuendo in Blue with Crescendo in Blue on the other side?
No, I don't.
I would be interested. Maybe I should. Let's see. Is the record here? I believe it might be here, and maybe we'll have time. I want to hear your take on what Duke does at the end of side one. That'll be interesting.
Got to give it a
We
shot.
have to do another show where I play you records that you're not on. But right now we do have work at hand, which is your writing for Basie. Totally undocumented. You get all the books. I did this Friday. Your name is not in any book about Basie's records and performance career. It's not there. Yet here you are writing on not quite a full-time basis, but as a major one of three in a period of Basie's career, the latter part of the World War II period. And music was recorded and issued. And the only other question before we go deeper into this is, so when did you finally meet these people?
Which people?
The Basie people. I mean, when did you meet Count Basie and he knew who you were and you knew who he was?
I guess after the Barnet period, because I had brought Barnet into Killian into Barnet, so Killian brought me into Basie.
But how did you know Al Killian in the first place?
His work on records.
You mean you recommended Al Killian flat-footed without knowing him to Charlie Barnet?
Yes. Well, the question was, Phil.
Wow.
The question was, who's a good first trumpet player?
All right.
And as I told you earlier, I thought they were putting me on, or I didn't,
You didn't.
Why ask me? I'm the newest guy in the band. I couldn't understand why they asked me. But I'd known Kurt Bloom, and maybe Kurt Bloom knew what I was into. Maybe. I'm not even sure of that. But, the question is, who's a good first trumpet player? Well, Al Killian's going to pop out of my mouth, because we were listening to those great ensembles, well, as I say, when we went on the road, we only took Basie records with us, and so I just answered the question, and
so you didn't know Al Killian?
No, not at all.
You got him the gig, which would undoubtedly have been his best-paying job in his life.
Probably.
I
don't know what he got with Duke. He might have done better in Duke's band. I'm not sure.
Seems unlikely.
Okay. That's what they all say. That's what they all say.
Okay. Well, certainly I have no first-hand information either way, but I do know that I'm impressed that all right, so we're only talking about this period. I'll ask the other personality questions later. I've got here, now, the ones that I documented, I think are just On the Beat and Let's Jump.
On the Upbeat.
On the Upbeat and Let's Jump.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to run by titles, and we can play things. Now, Basie Strides Again, I don't think is your arrangement. I've listened to this. And G Baby Ain't I Good to You with Jimmy Rushing vocal, I don't think is.
That could be Don.
I believe it is Don Redman's arrangement. Circus in Rhythm.
That's half mine. That's another one.
Who did the other half?
Buck.
And who did the arrangement for the recording of it for Savoy under Earl Warren's name? Is that the same arrangement?
Buck and myself, yeah.
Did you go to that record date?
No. No, I got that assignment at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Dubinsky called you, or Teddy Rigg, or Basie?
No, Teddy Rigg wasn't on the scene then. This was the Lincoln period.
Yeah, I know.
And during rehearsal, Buck brought this in, Circus in Rhythm, which was Earl Warren's tune.
Yes.
And I'm not sure whether, I guess it was Earl that didn't like the second half of the arrangement. So Basie asked me if I would do it. They had the record date the next day. So they gave me the musician's room, and I stayed in the room all night and just wrote the end of the arrangement. Not much, for the last chorus or so. And Basie was very impressed that I wrote it so fast and so accurately. So that was a big help.
That's not Basie's record date.
No, it's under Earl Warren's.
And Basie's not the pianist, it's Clyde Hart, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet Basie was involved.
Yes. Well, it all happened at rehearsal.
The unissued ballad from that date, Poor Little Plaything, does this make sense that it's a Tad Dameron arrangement?
Could be.
All right,
You almost could hear it.
Yeah, I know. Another record for us to play at the end of the show or on another show. So, Circus in Rhythm. Is would you like to hear Circus in Rhythm from the V-disc?
No, not particularly.
Okay. Beaver Junction.
Buster Harding, I think.
Now, this one I think is Dickie Wells' arrangement. A lot of people don't know Dickie did writing.
I know.
Kansas City Stride, that's Dickie's. I think.
Not sure.
But you do know that Dickie was writing?
Oh, yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was studying, I was teaching myself out of a harmony book by Percy Getchus. It's really called Materials Used in Musical Composition. And for a while there, I was carrying it around Manhattan like an idiot. It was the Bible. And my father had covered it with made a leather cover for it, like you used to do when you go to school. And one day, Dickie and I were talking about music, and he looked at this book, and he wanted one badly. I think what he did is he went out and got one. Same thing. Then I took it home. My father covered it for him and brought it back. But yes, Dickie was a good writer. I just don't know what he wrote.
Well, I know he had compositions like Tush.
Oh, yeah. That was a keynote. Yeah.
Would it make any sense to play Kansas City Stride, or should we just go on to looking for one?
No, you can keep going on.
Now here, I know Taps Miller's Buck Clayton.
Yes, what an excellent arrangement.
And I know Justin Old Manuscript is Don Redman.
That I don't know.
Oh, that's Don's. Playhouse Number 2 Stomp. I don't have any idea about this one, and I think I should play it for you to see if you have any ideas.
Sure.
Okay. We're playing Count Basie recordings of the late World War II period for composer and, more importantly, in this instance, arranging credits. A man who is is not listed in any book for arranging for Basie, was in fact there, and is helping us to itemize these ones. His name is Turk van Lake. He had arranged, of course, in Charlie Barnet's band before, freelancing and writing for as diverse a field of musical figures as Vincent Lopez and Lionel Hampton, probably on the same night. And he's perusing some of these more obscure Basie Armed Forces Radio Service / VDIS recordings to see how many of these arrangements we might trace. Turk van Lake Radio, WKCR-FM, New York. Well, there wasn't too much writing to be done on Playhouse Number 2 Stomp. Any ideas, Turk van Lake?
No, it didn't ring any kind of a bell. The only thing that was written, I think, was the trombone solo there. I can't tell from that who wrote it at all.
Well, let's move on. We're here with a whole stack of Count Basie recordings from 1944 and 45, many of which do not have even titles, or if they do, they have things like key signatures as titles. And we're on the search for correct arranging credits. And of course, with Basie's band, as we just illustrated, there doesn't need to be an arrangement. There doesn't need to be a melody. You get the rhythm section, you build up from there, let two tenors talk to each other for a while. There's another component that we didn't really mention when we were talking about the early Basie band, Herschel Evans and Lester Young, and that yin and yang dimension of their tenor stars, which would be maintained from that point on. We are going through the VDIS right now. I think Jimmy Mundy arranged that Rhythm Man for Count Basie.
Could be.
But you didn't.
No.
Okay. GI Stomp? Ring a bell? I don't think Dance of the Gremlins is yours.
No.
Yeah Man is one of the arrangements they copped from Fletcher Henderson when they first started, so that Ant Hager's Country Home with an Earl Warren vocal, I think, also predates your involvement.
Right.
Something called San Jose?
No bell.
No bell. Then the next one, and we're likely to be walking into head territory again, but we have something just called B-flat blues. You think you'd likely have done a writing of a blues score in B-flat for them?
No, I wouldn't dare write a blues for Basie's band.
Okay.
They're much better writers.
You wrote Afternoon of a Basieite up for the band, though, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Is that around?
I've never seen it or heard it. No, I, of course, know the small group recording under Lester Young's name for keynote.
What I did is I virtually transcribed it, except I orchestrated it. I heard an arrangement in that record, and I heard a melody there. And Harry Lim, who had produced it, poo-pooed me. I remember one night distinctly. He said, "What do you make of a tune like that?" He says, "There's no melody there." And I looked at him as though he's crazy, because I heard something, But I think the arrangement, I believe, if I recall correctly, I think I bombed on that arrangement anyhow. Because I had, I was so fond of that rhythm section. And it was such an easy band to write for, number one.
Mm-hmm.
You could sit down and say, well, okay, on this arrangement, I think I'll have Prez start. And then I think I'll have Buck follow Prez. And then I'll have Dickie Wells follow Buck. And then maybe Buddy Tate will take it out or something like that. It was just always a game. Who's going to start? Who's going to follow? Can you follow this? Cap this? Blah blah blah. I missed the point because this was going to be all Prez. I started off with the rhythm section.
You're talking about Let's Jump?
No, I'm talking about
Afternoon of a Basie. Okay.
And after the rehearsal, Basie told me, he said, look, he said, when you present an artist, he said, you have to have an introduction for him. And that's what was wrong with the arrangement. Starting Afternoon of a Basie with a rhythm section was not the right thing to do. And that was my big mistake. So I learned a lesson there. You present an artist, you better present them.
Did you do other writing for Basie? I'll let you continue.
No, not much more after that.
No, I meant a showcase piece for any soloist that you might remember.
No.
What was the story behind Eagle Rock Special?
Well, the only story there is Ed Lewis wrote it. And I got stuck on one chord change. I didn't know. There was a place I couldn't harmonize it. And finally I found the chord change there. And I was afraid it might be a little too far out for Basie. Because Basie didn't like, don't fool around. Don't get too far away from the center. So one always had to be a little bit careful not to experiment too much. And so I threw this change in there. It was really a little bit out. And Lucky Thompson flipped out. He thought it was the greatest thing on earth. I don't know what Basie thought about it. However, they did play it on the air. That I know. See, a lot of these things have been played on the air. There may be some air checks around.
Yeah, well, we're going to work our way through these.
Yeah.
We're here with Turk van Lake, who arranged for Count Basie in 1944 and 45. And what did Lester Young think about being showcased with Afternoon of a Basie? Was it a good idea as far as
No comment there. I had very, very little to say to Lester Young at the time, as did the fellows in the Basie's band. It's amazing. As long as they were all together, the band was always very, very mindful of Prez's mood when he came to work. I remember I'd go to Lincoln, and Al Killian would say to me, "Prez is salty tonight. Be cool," or this. Whatever was going on, it centered around Prez more than it centered around. It seemed to center more around Prez than around Basie. How that band went in that period. It was prior. I think within a month he was in armed services anyhow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, your insights on this would be helpful to us. Lester Young had been in the original Count Basie Orchestra and had left to launch his own career in late 40. He went through a series of small combos. He didn't want to do a big band, is my understanding of it.
Right.
And then at Joe Jones's instigation, having just played a single night with Pettiford and Gillespie at the Onyx, just the opening night, he went back with the Basie band, rejoining them at the Blue Room of the Hotel Lincoln, the very engagement that you come into the picture. This would be the very end of 1943, December of 43. He's then with the band till September of 44. That's when, at the end of the filming of Jammin' the Blues, he was drafted, so to speak. He had been drafted already, and they went and got him, and he had a horrible Army experience.
Terrible.
Now, there are a couple of other experiences. The terrain, the moodiness that you speak of, some of the guys remember that Prez got sick, but kind of had a very bad flu towards March, April of 44, but played through it. Do you have any recollection?
No, I don't recall that at all.
Okay. What do you think of his playing of the period that you were writing for the Basie band as opposed to his earlier playing? Do you hear any differences, similarities?
No, I think Prez was Prez at the time. Bird hadn't quite made his impact yet. Prez was still Prez. But the Army busted him. I mean, the service busted him. Busted him wide open.
I know that's certainly something. Things happened that were very horrible for Lester Young in the Army experience, but I don't think Charlie Parker's emergence had as much effect on Lester's playing. I hear a transition in the early 40s myself.
Well, do you hear a change in tone, or his tone got huskier?
Yeah, well, the cream. It seems to me, if you want my opinion, and this is really Turk van Lake's show, but from 36 to 41 are these glorious years in which that buoyancy and that ability to sort of like dance around at any tempo and to play inventive things that show, without overdoing it, harmonic wisdom that is beyond really most of our capabilities. And within that context, and that's always there, he works on the timbre of his instrument, and he becomes, by the end of 40, if you listen to those things, those last Basie records, like Broadway is a good example, or Let's Do It All of Me with Billy, or if you know the obscure things, the Una Mae Carlisle date, where they're doing Blitzkrieg, Baby You Can't Bomb Me, and Beautiful Eyes, you know, his tone becomes incredibly creamy, but at no sacrifice to this rhythmic gift and this...
Well, he couldn't avoid that. He could never avoid his rhythmic gift, even if he tried.
Well, his swinging element,
right.
but
that was always
his rhythmic phrasing does, to my ears, change. He changes in everything. He becomes more interested in emphasizing phrase as a rhythmic line as rather as a melodic line. He puts a burr in his tone during the periods you have. But I'm wondering if there's a middle period. You know, what causes the changes in Lester Young's playing, and what that change is, you know, because some people don't perceive it. Lee Young, you know, if you're thinking that, you know, there's something wrong with what I'm saying, Lee Young disagrees with me. He thinks that his brother's playing the same in 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. But I don't.
No, first of all, his ideas didn't flow as well. And, you know, also, he was intimidated by Bird, too, eventually.
That's a point you've made now twice. I don't hear it that way, but you think so?
Oh, absolutely.
Why do you say, though?
Well, because up until Bird, he was skating along very nicely.
Right.
And the ideas were flowing. But when Bird came along, all of a sudden, you played much longer lines. And Prez didn't have that. He didn't play long lines. He played little short riffs a lot of the time. And he couldn't... You can almost hear his mind working, or see his mind working. He'll start something, he'll try to build it, and can't complete it. It became a study in frustration. I remember when I was going to school in Boston, he came through, and a very dear friend of mine, Joe Schulman, was playing bass with him. And I went to see him every night. I even brought my composition teacher, Alan Havanas, to hear Prez. And short, disjunct phrases. He couldn't settle in and groove and play a nice line like he used to. He was just shot. It sounded to me like his mind was shot.
Well, clearly, he was a frequent drinker in the 50s and late 40s.
You're putting it mildly.
I certainly was. And do you remember him being a drinker in 44?
I remember him being a drinker ever since I heard of him.
Even in the 30s, then?
I would say so.
Because the Basie guys would disagree with that. They would say in the 30s, Prez wasn't drinking too much.
Well, the amount, all right, I wasn't there, so I don't know what the amount was, but I know whenever he was in town. Now, this is, I'm trying to figure when this period was that I'm going to speak about. You know, the word used to get out, Prez is in town, he's going to be blowing in a certain club, you know, nickel and dime club uptown, and some of us would go up there and catch him all night long. Water glass, 100-proof bourbon, right next to the bottom of his saxophone, cigarette between his pinky and his ring finger, and in between sets he'd go outside. God knows what was going on. And that's the only way I knew him.
But that is a later Prez.
Yes. Yes, not in the Lincoln. He didn't have a drink on the bandstand or anything like that.
Now, you just heard a gorgeous solo by Lester Young. By the way, all of Lester Young's recordings are great recordings, and we are just sort of studying periods of a career rather than saying one thing is much better than another. But I'm asking now that Let's Jump, for instance, is a great solo. I know it was. Yeah. But I hear it being different from the person I hear on the holiday accompaniments in the earlier Basie material.
Yeah, I think Prez was trying to move. You know, with him, I think you had to go a little gentler, just like with Basie, you would have to go a little gentler. For instance, I couldn't play a B7 chord with a flat 5. I couldn't write a B7 chord with a flat 5 in an arrangement for Basie, because the first time I wrote it, Basie called me over and he says, "Don't use that chord." Yeah, he hindered me. He took my B7 flat 5 chord away from me.
Well, he didn't want you to hinder him.
Well, either way, at least I wasn't brash enough to show him the chord. I know some people that have done that, which is a terrible mistake. Yeah, I would, Prez is... He was listening. He was listening to what was going on, and I'm sure he was trying to move a little bit.
Well, let's move on to some of these other titles and see if they ring bells with you. The Airmail Special was Jimmy Mundy arrangement.
No, that's Ted. Oh, wait, yes, you're right.
After You've Gone?
Don't know it.
Cabin in the Sky. I think came out of what, the production of the same name from 43.
Yeah, I did that for Barnet in 43.
Yeah. Any chance this would be your arrangement?
No.
Okay, with Earl Warren handling the vocal.
No.
I won't say I will, but I won't say I won't. Do Nothing Till You Hear From Me, Thelma Carpenter vocal?
No.
Now, this swing shift, I noticed a composer credit to Charlie Spivak, so I was wondering if maybe it was something that...
Swing shift. No, that doesn't...
You want to hear a minute's worth?
Sure.
All right. Let's do a minute's worth of swing shift.